I'm Jen, single mom, artist, and entrepreneur. This is my journey to building life by my design. Come along while Jen juggles it. Hello again, friends. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderfully amazing, beautiful day. So, as you know, one of my businesses is photographing boudoir portraiture, and I've been doing that for well over a decade now. The boudoir industry has grown tremendously since I did my first session back in 2006. That makes me sound super old. It has definitely become a luxury service with a luxury price tag. Good boudoir portraiture takes good lighting, good posing, and lots of practice. Now, I realize that not everyone can afford a luxury service such as boudoir portraits, which is why I'm doing this two-part video series on how to take your own boudoir selfies. Even though spending the money on a luxury boudoir session is absolutely worth the investment in my opinion, I also believe that all women deserve the opportunity to feel beautiful and sexy. So I'm gonna teach you how to do that on your own. So we're gonna cover cell phone camera basics, safety tips, some basics of lighting, posing, makeup, and wardrobe, and we'll put it all together in a session that I took of myself with my own cell phone camera, which is not at all how I normally shoot in my studio. So let's get started. Your cell phone has a fixed lens, which is more like a point and shoot camera than it is like a single lens reflex camera, which is a camera that has interchangeable lenses. With a single lens reflex, which is what professionals generally use, you have full control over the aperture and shutter speed settings, as well as the ISO. A fixed lens camera does not allow you to control these things individually, but rather it is set up to optimize what it can shoot. Your cell phone is designed to take images with reasonable clarity regardless of distance from the camera, and regardless of whether or not there's movement in the subject. For this reason, it uses a wide depth of field, which means a low aperture setting, and a faster shutter speed to minimize movement in the subject. This means that you won't likely get the more creative shots like you often see where the woman's eyelashes are in focus and everything else isn't. Professional photographers call that bokeh. Some newer phones do have a portrait mode, which kind of mimics bokeh, but it's not exactly the same, and it can blur areas in an unnatural kind of way. The most important thing you need to know about your cell phone camera is that whatever is closest to the lens will appear largest in the image. This is why angles that you shoot from really matter. For example, if you shoot an image straight on, your nose is the closest thing to the camera lens, so it's going to appear the biggest of everything else on your face. However, if you tip that phone up just slightly above eyeline, your eyes are now the closest thing, and forehead are the closest thing to that lens. So it's gonna make your nose appear a little bit smaller and your eyes a little bit larger. We'll cover this in a little bit more detail when we get to posing and shooting angles. As I'm sure you already know, one of the best advantages of your cell phone is that you can reverse the camera lens so that you are seeing yourself on the screen while you're shooting. This can be super helpful when trying to take images of yourself, and we will definitely be using that feature in this tutorial. Your cell phone should also have a timer, which allows you to press the shutter and then get into position before the shutter actually takes the image. Mine has a 10-second delay. That sounds like a lot of time, but I promise it isn't. However, it is manageable with enough practice. Lastly, if you have a selfie stick or a stand for your phone, that can be really helpful for holding your phone in place and getting it to the angles that you want to shoot from. It's not necessary, but it can be super helpful. Now, a little bit about safety and privacy. In this digital age, anything we send out into the ether, anything that goes over the interwebs, is probably not private. So if you're planning to send these images through email or some other digital means to another person, just be aware that once they're out there, you likely won't have control with what happens to them. The other thing to keep in consideration is that these devices record absolutely everything, including the location of where you took the image if you have location services enabled on your phone for photos. I highly suggest that you turn that off, largely because most people, if they're going to take boudoir photos, are going to take them in their home. If your location services are enabled for photos, then that location information is stored in the metadata of your image, which means anyone can see where the photo was taken. Because boudoir images are fairly intimate, I highly suggest that you turn that off so that your address isn't readily available for anyone who gets their hands on your images. And frankly, I think it's just good practice to keep that disabled most of the time anyway, if not all the time. I personally never have my metadata turned on my phone because I'm a mom and I take pictures of my kids on my phone all the time and share them on social media and things. And I don't want crazy people to know where my kids live, and I don't want them to know what school they go to when we're taking photos at a school event. It's just unnecessary, and it's just not smart. It gives predators a leg up. And so I highly suggest that you turn location services off on your photos all the time. You can do that by going to Settings, Location Services, Photos, and turn it to off, at least on iPhone. I'm sure it's similar on Android. You can Google how to find it on yours. All right, let's talk about where you're gonna take your boudoir photos, because setting matters. I know we have all seen that bathroom selfie with the toilet in the background, right? Now, I don't care how amazing you look, how gorgeous, how stunning, how incredibly beautiful. If there is a toilet in the background of your images, that's what people are gonna notice. Now, even though boudoir means bedroom in French, you don't have to use the bedroom. However, that is the setting that the vast majority of people end up choosing. Most people's bedrooms are lived-in spaces, right? So it's not uncommon for there to be a stack of books and tissues and other extraneous things sitting on the nightstand. The sheets often have patterns and are kind of busy. That is all well and good for living in, but it doesn't make for good images. So if you're gonna be shooting in your bedroom, I highly suggest that you clean all that extraneous stuff off of your nightstand. Yeah, you have to clean first, sorry. And change the sheets to a solid color. White is fabulous if you have it, but white isn't necessary. By clearing away all the clutter and changing your backdrop to something simple and clean without patterns, that allows those images to showcase you and not your surroundings. So what are you gonna wear for these selfies? And what about hair and makeup? Let's start with wardrobe. First things first, whatever you decide to wear, it should fit properly. Too tight clothing causes bulges that wouldn't normally exist on your body, and you don't want those in your photo. If bra straps are too tight and they cut down into your shoulder and leave a little divot, that's a problem. You don't want that in your photos. On the same token, clothing that is way too loose lacks support. So most women are going to choose to wear lingerie for these images, but that's definitely not the only choice. Boudoir is about sensuality and mood more than anything else. So it isn't necessary to show a lot of skin if you don't want to. A gorgeous sweater that just drapes off the shoulder, showing just a hint of skin, is a super sexy option. It's about the attitude of the session more than anything else. Some other great options are a button-up shirt that's not buttoned all the way, giving just a hint of what's underneath, or a favorite white tank top. But since most women are gonna choose lingerie, let's focus on that. You're gonna wanna pick something that you feel good in, because if you don't feel good, you don't look good. If it didn't look good in the dressing room, you will not like it in your images. You're gonna wanna pick lingerie that features areas that you wanna showcase. So if you think you have a killer booty, then you may wanna wear a thong. If you love the way your neckline meets your chest area, then you're gonna wanna wear something that's low cut and shows that off. If you're feeling a little self-conscious about your tummy area, then maybe a bodysuit that covers that is the best bet. Stockings and fishnets can add really great interest to an image, and they also do a good job of hiding bruises and tan lines. Since we are not gonna talk about editing images, that may be something that really matters to you. A simple bra and panty set can be a really great option, but a lot of women feel a little too exposed. So a great way to capitalize on a gorgeous bra and panty set is to toss a sheer robe on. A sheer robe also helps to minimize any tan lines or skin imperfections that you don't want to be seen. Since we're not going to cover editing, that may really matter to you. Now, the reason we're not going to cover editing is because good editing takes lots of knowledge and lots of practice. In my opinion, most people way over edit images and they don't even look real anymore. That bugs me, and I'm not going to teach you how to do that. For hair and makeup, I recommend applying your makeup a little bit darker than you normally would. And the reason I say that is the camera washes most people out just a tad. And when I say a little darker, I mean a little darker than you would normally wear it. We're not going to a clown convention, so you don't have to get crazy. A little bit bolder makeup, though, usually looks really great in boudoir images. Now, hair is a lot less critical, in my opinion, because you're probably going to be doing some laying down on it. You can run your fingers through it, put your hands in it, throw it around in your images. You can get crazy and creative with hair. A nice straighten, a nice blowout, perfectly acceptable. I don't even really recommend that my clients coming into the studio spend a lot of time and energy getting their hair done. A blowout the day before is usually plenty to make your hair look awesome for a session. Don't forget a few accessories. A statement necklace can be a really nice addition. High heels are fabulous. However, they do, in a selfie situation, make it a little harder to get into position in that 10-second window you're gonna have. All right, that is it for part 1 of our series. Keep a lookout for part 2 next week. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. I'd love to know what you think about learning how to do your own selfies. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback on that. Thanks so much. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.